Every day we open a new thing in the morning.
All right, good morning, everybody. Today's daf Rosh Hashanah daf Chaf Hey. We're going to cover a lot of ground today. We're going to get Amir Tashem to the Mishnah on the top of Chaf Vav Amud Aleph. Don't be spooked by the size of the Amud. It's very quick moving. Here we go. We're going to start at the Mishnah at the very last line of Chaf Daled Amud Beis, the Mishnah. Masa Shabo Shnai V'Amar Re'inuhu Shachris B'Mizrach. There was a case where two Eidim came to the basin, and they said, we saw the old moon. Look at the last line of Rashi, as Hayashana. We saw the old moon in the morning in the eastern sky. The Arvis, Re'inu Shachris B'Mizrach, the Arvis B'Marav. And we saw the new moon that same night in the western sky. Amar Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri, Eidei Sheker Haim. Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri holds that they cannot possibly be telling the truth. Rashi says, because we hold, or at least we have seen, that the new moon is not visible until about 24 hours after the final sighting of the old moon. However, Kishabao Liyavne, Kiblin Rabban Gamliel, but when those same two Eidim went to Rabban Gamliel and Yavne, he accepted their Eidus. We are on the top of Chafei Amud Aleph at the end of the second line. The Ode, and in another case, two Eidim came and we said we saw the moon at its appropriate time, meaning a chaser month. Uvelel iburo lo nire, but that night, the next of the lily buro, the night where they would have declared Rosh Chodesh, then they didn't see the moon again. So the Kiblin Rabban Gamliel, and in that second case, so we're going to spend until the rest of this Mishnah and some of the Gemara is really going to deal with the outcome of this psak of Rabban Gamliel to accept that testimony. Amar Rabbi Dosa ben Horkinis, Eidei Sheker Hain. These people are lying, Rabban Gamliel. How can you testify that a woman gave birth and then the very next day her stomach is, the literal translation is, her stomach is between her teeth? Meaning, how can you testify one day on something that is allegedly a fact and then see something counter to that fact the very next day? Can't be, they must be lying. Amar Rabbi Yeshua says, Eidei Sheker. This is not Eidei Sheker. They're lying because they're claiming something that cannot possibly be. So that's not a mistake. Well, we'll see.
Wait, the Eidim said on what day?
They said we saw the 29th.
Thank you.
At night,
They said we saw the 29th, but then the next night there was no moon. They didn't see anything at all. In which case you would normally just declare the prior month a Malay and call Rosh Chodesh for day 31. What they said is, it's a chaser. We saw the moon. Then the next night there wasn't one. So, and clearly it's not like a cloudy day. It doesn't give you any of those details. So it must be that they are not. I can't keep the phone up here. That they are not telling the truth. So Rabbi Dosa says they're lying. Rabbi Yeshua says, Rabbi Yeshua says to Rabbi Dosa, I hear you. And the month should probably be Malay. Those guys are probably lying. Shalach lo Rabbi Gamliel. So Rabbi Gamliel sends a message to Rabbi Yeshua. Listen to this. Goes Rani, I want you to come visit me with your walking staff and your wallet on Yom Kippur according to your count. Famous story. According to your count, which, according to Rabbi Gamliel, would be Motzai Yom Kippur because he started a day early. Halach Mitzvah Rabbi Akiva Meitzar. The wording of this phrase is a little awkward and unclear. The Gemara is going to address it later. Let's assume for right now that the person who was walking and doing the finding is Rabbi Akiva, and the person who was found to be Meitzar, the person who was found to be in distress, is Rabbi Yoshua. Amar Lo. So Rabbi Akiva says to Rabbi Yeshua, Yeshli Lilmod Shekol Masha Asa Rabbi Gamliel Asui. I have in my tradition to learn that everything that Rabbi Gamliel paskins, Asui. Once he did it, that's done, and that's the psak. Shne'amar that these are the moadim when we declare them bein bismanan, bein shelo bismanan. Whenever they're declared, that's when they are. It doesn't matter whether they're declared at the precise time or not. And we'll see a little bit later just how far, at the very end of the sugya, just how far that that philosophy goes. Ein li moados ela elu. The only holidays we have are these. The ones that Rabbi Gamliel Paskind, those are the holidays that we're going to go by. Balo Eitzel Rabbi Dosa ben Horkinis. And so next, Rabbi Dosa, the same one that Rabbi Yeshua agreed with. He claimed that these were 8 sheker. Balo Eitzel Rabbi Dosa ben Horkinis. Rabbi Yeshua went to Rabbi Dosa ben Horkinis Amarlo. And Rabbi Dosa said to Rabbi Yeshua, if we're going to revisit and reconsider all of the psakim of Rabbi Gamliel and his Beis Din, then we would have to second guess every psak of every Beis Din from the days of Moshe Rabbeinu until now, which is obviously not possible. Shne'amar. Vayal Moshe v'Aaron v'Nadav v'Avihu. So Moshe and Aaron and 2 of Aaron's 4 sons, v'shivim mizignei Yisrael, and the 70 zakenim. V'lamalonis parshu shemos and shel zakenim. Well, why weren't the names of all 70 of these zakenim listed? Why do we only have the names of the major gedolim? Elalamed shekol shlosha shamnu beis al Yisrael. That any 3 individuals, any 3 men who sit as a Beis Din for Klal Yisrael, they have the equivalent power of the Beis Din of Moshe. So what happens at the end of the story? We'll get a slightly longer version of this on Amud Beis. Rabbi Yeshua took his walking stick and he took his wallet. And he went to visit Rabbi Gamliel on the day that, according to Rabbi Yeshua, should have been Yom Kippur. This is Motzi Yom Kippur according to Rabbi Gamliel, but Yom Kippur according to Rabbi Yeshua, because he said the 80 were 80 sheker, and therefore the previous month should have been Malay. And that means that what Rabbi Gamliel thought was Yud Aleph Tishrei, according to Rabbi Yeshua, was actually Yud Yom Kippur. Rabbi Gamliel and V'nashku al Rosho. Rabbi Gamliel stood up. He kissed Rabbi Yeshua on the forehead. Amar lo, bo b'shalom, Rabbi v'talmidi. Come in peace, my teacher and my student. Rabbi b'chachma, v'talmidi shekibalta es divarai. You are my Rebbe in wisdom, and you are my student because you accepted my word. Okay, so let's dive into the Gemara. We're at the Gemara in the middle of Chafhei Amud Aleph, 6 lines down in the middle.
But it's interesting. It's Rabbi Dosa ben Perkinos that made the statement that they were Rabbi 80 sheker, and Rabbi Yeshua.
He got in trouble.
Asking,
That's right. And so why did Rabbi Yeshua get in trouble
and
Rabbi Dosa? The reason is because Rabbi Yeshua was an Av Beis Din in his own right. And Rabbi Gamliel was concerned that if he didn't force Rabbi Yeshua and Av Beis Din to make a public display of obedience to Rabbi Gamliel, who was the Nasi and the head of everything in Yavne, you would have had machlokus in Klai, so there would have been chaos. You'd have people observing 2 different days of Yom Kippur. So he forced him, because of his position of prominence, to go to him and prove publicly that what he thought was Yud was actually Yud Aleph. It's an excellent question. Okay, Tanya, 6 lines down in the middle of the fat lines. Tanya, Amar lahem Rabbi Gamliel Chachamim. Rabbi Gamliel said, here's my reasoning for accepting this edus. Kach mekublani mi beis Abba, mi beis Abi Abba. I have a tradition from my grandfather, who was the first Rabbi Gamliel. Pamim sheba ba'aruka, pamim sheba b'ksara. Sometimes the moon takes a little longer, and sometimes it takes a little shorter. So don't give me this 24-hour deal. Sometimes the moon can possibly cycle from the old moon to the new moon in 12 hours. I'm a Rabbi Yochanan, my time of the Bay Rebbe. Rabbi Yochanan says, what is the reasoning of the house of Rebbe? Where did Rebbe come from? Why are we mentioning him? The reason we're mentioning Rebbe is because Rebbe was a descendant of Rabbi Gamliel. And because Rebbe is so famous and so revered for his redaction of the Mishnah and saving Torah Sheba'al Peh, the Rabbi Gamliel's family is referred to in this case as Bei Rebbe. what we're trying to figure out is, where did they get the idea that the moon is not consistent in terms of the length of time between the ability to see the old one and the ability to see the new one? Asa Yerach Lamoadim, Kodesh Baruch Hu made the moon for the holidays. Shemesh Yadam Iva'o. And the sun, he knows it's coming and going. Now that's really talking about a Kodesh Baruch Hu. But we use that as a drasha for human beings. Shemesh Hu Yadam Iva'o. We all know and have a basic understanding of when the sun rises and the sun sets. We get that, we see it, we experience it. But the Sod HaLevana, Yareach Lo Yadam Iva'o. Nobody really understands how the moon works. We don't get it. It's visible sometimes. If it's cloudy, it's not. You have no idea where it is or what it's doing. The sun, you always know. The moon, not so much. So that's why Rabban Gamliel is able to accept the teaching of his Aviyaba, of his grandfather, that the moon has different lengths of time between the visibility of the old and the visibility of the new. Rabbi Chia Chazia L'Siyar. Rabbi Chia saw an old moon, the Havakoi B'Tzafra, that showed up. He was able to see it in the morning. The Esrim B'Tisha, the morning of the 29th day. So what did he do? Shakal Kala. He took a hunk of dirt, Pasak Bay, and he threw it at the moon. And he said the following: Amar, L'Ur Sabina L'Kedushibach. We need to be Mekadesh you tonight, Mr. Moon. Vat Kayam Tacha. And you're hanging out here during the day? Zil Ichsi. Go. Hide yourself. Don't be visible now because we want to be able to be Mekadesh you later. Well, we were just talking about the length of time between the visibility of the old and the visibility of the new. And if the old moon is still hanging out in the morning, there's no way you're going to be able to see the new moon at night. There's not enough time. Amarle Rabbi Chia.
It takes a full day.
Yeah.
But
Even according to Rabbi Gamliel, it should take 12 hours, right? But according to Rabbi Yeshua and Rabbi Dosa, it's not enough time. It's not enough time. You need 24 hours. Amarle Rabbi Chia. So Rabbi says to Rabbi Chia, remembers the guy who just threw the dirt at the moon. Zila Ein Tav, go to the city of Ein Tav, V'kadshei Yarcha, go there, be Mekadesh the moon there, V'shalach Simna, and send me the following coded message. If you've ever wondered why Kiddush HaLavana has these words in it, this might be why. David Melech Yisrael Chai V'Kayam. That's the code for me to know that you were successfully Mekadesh the Chodesh in Ein Tav. Now, why Ein Tav? A couple of possible reasons.
Why?
One, because Rebbe could have plausible deniability, because Rebbe was not an Ein Tav, and therefore Rebbe Chia was free to declare the Chodesh in a different place than Rebbe was. And the other reason I saw is that there was a Roman edict against Kiddush HaChodesh, but I guess they weren't in Ein Tav, and they were able to go ahead and be Mekadesh HaChodesh this way. Okay, Tana Rabbanan. We're about 12 lines down in the middle. Pam achas niskashu shamayim be'avim. Once it was cloudy. V'niris demus levana be'esrim b'tisha l'chodesh, and there was the image of the moon through the clouds on the 29th day of the month. Kisvurim ha'am lomar Rosh Chodesh. So everybody wanted to say, great. That means the next day is going to be Rosh Chodesh. We'll be Mekadesh the moon tonight. Ubikshu Bezin the Kadsho, and the Bezin wanted to be Mekadesh the moon, the new moon, that night, based on the Re'iyah earlier in the day. Amar lahem Rabbi Gamliel kach mikublani mibeis Aviyaba. I have a tradition from my family. Ein chidusha shalavana pechusa me'esrim b'tisha yom memechzeh. We do not conclude a month before 29 and a half ushnei shlishei sha'ah and 2/3 of an hour v'ayin gimel chalakim and 73 chalakim. So you need 29 days, a half of a day, plus 2/3 of an hour, plus 73 chalakim, which means
been too early.
Thank you. This is too early. Now, what happened? That same day, this day of the 29th, the mother of Ben Zaza passed away. Vehispida Rabbi Gamliel Hesped Gadol. And Rabbi Gamliel took the time to deliver a lengthy and great eulogy. This made me laugh. Not because she was so great or really deserved it. But he spent all day long in a hesped, because what can't you do on Rosh Chodesh? Give a hesped. So he demonstrated that day could not be Rosh Chodesh because not enough time had elapsed. And so he stuck to his guns on that. Okay, so now we're going to get back to that strangely worded language about 10 lines down from the top. Halach umitzao Rabbi Akiva Meitzar. He went and he found him, Rabbi Akiva, distressed. So that's awkwardly phrased. So the Gemara wants to know, Ibayalahu, mi Meitzar, who was distressed? Rabbi Akiva Meitzar or Rabbi Yeshua Meitzar? Which one of them was distressed? Now we thought it was fairly obvious that it's Rabbi Yeshua because he was the one who got called in the carpet by Rabbi Gamliel. Well, we thought right. Tashma, Detanya, Halar Rabbi Akiva, Mitzala Rabbi Yeshua, Kishu Meitzar. Rabbi Akiva did the walking, and he found Rabbi Yeshua when the latter was in distress. Amar lo, mipnei ma'ata Meitzar. Rabbi Yeshua, what are you so troubled by? Amar lo Akiva. He said, we delete the word Rabbi. He said, Akiva, Roi lo sheyipo lamita yud beis chodesh v'al yigzor alav gzeirazu. Rabbi Yeshua speaks of himself in the third person, and he said it would have been better if I was stuck in bed for 12 months and not able to be Mekayim this Gzeira of Rabbi Gamliel than to have this punishment put on me at all. Amar lo, Rebbe, Akiva says to Rabbi Yeshua, Rebbe, Tarsheni lomar lefanecha davar echad shelimat tani. Please give me permission to repeat back to you something that you taught me. Amar lo, and more. All right, let's hear it. What do you got? Amar lo says Rabbi Akiva, Rabbi Yeshua, Harehu Omer Osam Osam Osam. 3 times in the parsha of Shor Chesed, we have the phrase Asher Tikru Osam B'mo Adam, and we learned yesterday or the day before, I think yesterday, that because the word Osam is spelled Chaser with no vav, you can darshan it as if it is pronounced Atem. So here's the drasha: Shalosh Pa'amim Atem, Afilu Shogingin, Atem 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 Shalosh Pa'amim. Period. So we have it 3 times. Number 1, Atem Afilu Shogingin. We go by your declaration of a Kiddush HaChodesh, even if you make a mistake or do it by accident. Atem Afilu Mezidin. Even if you declare the wrong day on purpose, it's still valid. Atem Afilu Mutayim. Even if you were duped by Eidim who are lying to you, the month is still valid. The Lashon Hazeh Amarlo, and in the following language, Rabbi Yeshua said back to him, Akiva, Nicham Tani, Nicham Tani. Because Rabbi Akiva demonstrated to Rabbi Yeshua that even if the Eidim were lying, Rabbi Gamliel's Pesach is still valid because of this limud from Atem, Atem, Atem. Okay, 6 lines from the bottom, 2 dots. By the way, it's a Rabbi Dosa ben Horkinus. So we're still in the explaining the Mishnah morning. We're at the very bottom of the Chaf Hei Amud Aleph, 6 lines from the bottom, by the 2 dots, Tanu Rabbanan. Lama lo nisparshu shemosim shel zakenim halalu. We wanted to know in the Mishnah, why weren't the Shivim Zakenim? Why didn't we learn their names? Who are these people? Why not? Shelo Yomar Adam, because somebody shouldn't say, Ploni, such and such a judge, Moshe be'Aaron. What, I have to listen to him? He's like Moshe be'Aaron. Ploni Kenada be'Aviyu, Ploni Ke'elda be'Meidad. I'm not going to go by these people. So we don't have their names because we can say maybe those people were as great as Moshe Rabbeinu. We're about to see a mahalach that will net us out, proving lahalacha that we have to go by the dayanim of our time and in our place, whoever they are. Shmuel says to the people, the same HaKadosh Baruch Hu who created Moshe and Aaron. And he further says that HaKadosh Baruch Hu sent Yerubal and Bedan and Yiftach, and we're going to see right now who these people are, Shmuel, and he sent Shmuel as well. So we see that Shmuel Hanavi is comparing these 3 people, Yerubal, Bedan, and Yiftach, to Moshe and Aaron, and even himself, right? And we'll see the pasuk we're familiar with from Friday Night Davening on the next page that compares Shmuel to Moshe and Aaron. Yerubal ze Gidon, v'lama nikra Shmuel Yerubal, and why was Gidon called Yerubal? She'asa meriva im Baal, because he waged war with the Baal, which is a fairly famous avodah zarah. Bedan ze Shimshon, that was Samson. V'lama nikra Shmuel Bedan, de'asi midan, because he came from the tribe of Dan. So Bedan is a contraction of Ba Midan. He came from Dan. Yiftach, Kimashmo. Yiftach was called Yiftach because that was his name. His name was Yiftach. Thank you very much. We are now at the top of Chaf Hei Amud Beis. Ve'omer Moshe ve'Aaron v'Kohanav v'Shmuel v'Korei Shema. So we see Shakal HaKasuv Shlosh Shakali Olam Kishlosh Chamori Olam, that the Psukim compare three of the lesser leaders of Klal Yisrael, Yerubal and Bedan and Yiftach, to Moshe, Aaron, and Shmuel. Lomar Lecha, to teach you what? Yerubal Bedorah Moshe Bedorah. That Yerubal, Gidon in his generation, was like Moshe in his own. Bedan Bedorah, Aaron Bedorah. And Shimshon in his generation was equal to Aaron in his. And Yiftach Bedorah Shmuel Bedorah. And Yiftach is compared to Shmuel. L'lamedcha, she'afilu kal shebekalin v'nisman parnis al tzibor. That even somebody who's kind of a lightweight and is nevertheless appointed a leader over the tzibor, harehu ke'abir sheba abirim. He is as if he's the distinguished among the distinguished. It's like, the guy who graduates last in his class in medical school, still called doctor, right? So you go with the dayanim that you have. Ve'omer, and you should go to the Kohanim, the priests, the Leviim, and to the judges that will be in your day. Is it possible that you could go to a judge who isn't living in your days? You don't have a choice. The only people you can go to are the dayanim in your days. Don't say, no, our judges today, they're nothing. The good old days, they were so much better. Don't say that. You go to the dayanim that you have. And those are the people who we are to rely on for psak halacha. Now, the point of that entire sugya was to answer the question, why didn't the Torah identify the Shivim Zakenim who went with Moshe, Aaron, Nadav, and Avihu? And the answer is because we don't want people comparing dayanim by name to those who may have come before them. Good morning. We are on Rosh Hashanah Daf Chaf Hey Amud Beis, about a third of the way down by the two dots. We're about to finish the parak, gentlemen. Simcha Gedola. So now we're going to get the complete story of what happened. Chaf Hey Amud Beis, about a third of the way down by the two dots. We're about to finish the parak. What happened when Rabbi Yeshua acceded to Rabbi Gamliel's demand and went to visit him on the day that Rabbi Yeshua thought should be Yom Kippur? When Rabbi Gamliel saw Yeshua, he stood up out of his chair, kissed him on the head, and Amar Lo, Shalom Alecha Rebbe v'Talmidi. Good morning and Shalom, my master, my Talmud. Rebbe Shili Matani Torah Berabim. You are my Rebbe because you have taught me Torah in public. V'Talmidi Sha'ani Gozer Alecha Gezerah. Because I put a decree upon you. V'Atom Ekaima Ketalmid. And you accepted that decree like a Talmud. Ashrei Hador Shahagedolim Nishmaim Laktanim. Praiseworthy is the generation where the great ones listen to the lesser ones. Kal v'chomer Ketanim leGedolim. How much more so when the Ketanim listen to the Gedolim? If you just pause and ponder that for a moment, the Kal v'chomer makes absolutely no sense.
Wait, wasn't that pause again?
Right. So let's repeat that, and then the Gemara. Well, let's just ask the Gemara's question, because the Gemara's question is Kal v'chomer. What kind of Kal v'chomer is that? Chiyuvahu. It's a chiyuv for the Ketanim to listen to the Gedolim. So why are you saying Ashrei Hador? That's not a Kal v'chomer. It's backwards. Ella, what does that mean? Mitoch she'agedolim nishmaim leketanim. That because the Gedolim respect their lessers, nosin ketanim Kal v'chomer me'atzman. The Ketanim take a Kal v'chomer on themselves. That how much more so they should respect their Gedolim. Hadran Allah im einon makirin. Okay. Adkan Perik Sheni. Okay, so we're going quick.
You started at what, 5 to 7?
We started at 6:25. Okay, Perak Shlishi. This is Perak Ra'u Basin. We are in the middle of Chaf Hey Amud Beis. We're going to get to the Mishnah on top of Chaf Vav and moves quickly. And we've seen a lot of this material before. Okay, third Perak in Rosh Hashanah. Chaf Hey Amud Beis. Ra'u Basin B'chol Yisrael. What happens if the Basin and all of Klal Yisrael saw the new moon? Nechkaru ha'edim. They went through the interrogation process with the edim. Lo speak lomar mekudesh ad shechashecha. They didn't have a chance to pronounce it mekudesh until it already got dark. So what did we say yesterday? This is the Mishnah that we saw. So that automatically means that the month then slips into 30 days, becomes Malay. Rosh Chodesh is then day 31.
They're only allowed to testify at night during the day.
Excellent question. We're going to get to that in about 40 seconds. Rohu based in Bilvad. What happens if only the members of the basin, no outside Adim, saw the new moon? What should they do? Now we're talking about the Sanhedrin here. So a big group of people. Yamdu Shnayim, two of them should get up, v'yidu b'fneim, and they should testify to their rabbinic Dayanim colleagues. V'yomru mekudesh mekudesh, and those Adim, and the basin should say that the month is mekudesh.
Hold on a second.
No, so that's what I mean. So yes, describing the process, but yes, that's all.
Is this the case where there's part of the basin is going to be the Adim?
Wait, there's nobody else. There's nobody else there. It's just so they may be able to declare on their own. Remember, the psukim were HaChodesh Hazeh Lachem, like Moshe and Aaron, you declare the Chodesh. So it's really on the Dayanim to declare.
It's like
But that's really that's right. But it's really about the Dayanim to declare. The whole Hodel Hashem Kito, Kilo Yom Chasto, the repetition part. That's not the key. The key is that the basin declared the Kiddush HaChodesh. Ra'u Shlosha, Ve'hein basin. What if you have three people who saw the moon, but they themselves are members of the basin? Yamdu Ashnayim v'Yoshivu Mechavereya. So two of them stand up. They seat the third dayan with other members of the Sanhedrin, Eitz Alai Yachid, next to that third person. V'Ya'idu B'fneim, they should testify. V'Yomer Mekudesh Mekudesh, and then they declare a new month. Why do they need to go through that? The reason, why do they need to seat two other dayanim with this third dayan who was part of the group of the original three that saw the new month, that saw the new moon? So we're going to get to that in a moment, but no.
I love what you said. No.
Because, well, you got to be clear. No. The reason is because one person cannot. One person is not trustworthy to declare the new Chodesh. Okay, the Gemara wants to know, why did the Mishnah have to teach us that the Beis saw and all of Klal Yisrael? Rashi points out the question here is really on the Kol Yisrael part. And it's true. The Gemara says, well, we needed that case. And we saw this yesterday. I would have thought that since everybody saw the new moon, that is so well known, everybody would know that the month is really chaser. And there would be no need to declare the prior month of Malay and Rosh Chodesh on day 31. Kamash Mala, no, that you cannot effect a new month until you are Mekadesh that month. And since we already had the factors of the entire Beis saw it, all of Klal Yisrael saw it, what are we bothering with the step of interrogating all the witnesses? We already know the facts as they are. Here's what it means. It's or else in a different case, we had already investigated the Eidim. Meaning, if Reu Beis in B'chol Yisrael, or we had investigated the Eidim and they demonstrated that it was Rosh Chodesh, if they didn't have a chance to declare the Kiddush HaChodesh until that night, meaning the night of the 30th, the month is automatically declared Malay, and Rosh Chodesh is not until the following day. The Gemara wants to know that once we already say that the month is going to be automatically a Malay, what do we even have to teach this case about the Chakiras Ha'edim at all? It's Tzurich. So the Gemara says we need that. So Kedaita Chamina, because I might have thought they have a Chakiras Ha'edim Kitchilas Din. This is the point you were getting at. I might have thought that the entire process from investigating the Eidim until the declaration of the Kiddush HaChodesh is one long, complete court session. That the Chakiras Ha'edim is the Tchilas Din. Umekudesh Mekudesh Kigemar Din. And that it extends until nighttime, when even if the nighttime includes that Mekudesh Mekudesh, Ulakad Shabalayla, and that they were therefore that night be Mekadesh, the new month, since they started earlier, like benching after Shabbos when you started Shalosh Shudas early, right? That kind of thing. Meaning to have Adine Mamanis, but the comparison is not the Shalosh Shudas, it's the Dine Mamanis. It's not Dine Mamanis Dani B'Yom V'Komim B'Layla. Dine Mamanis, as long as you start during the day, you can conclude that court session at night. Hachanami Mekachim B'Layla. So too here. That was a terrible shot. So too here, as long as you started the din during the day and got the edus during the day, why couldn't you declare the new month at night? Kamash Malan, we don't allow you to do that. Well, what if maybe you are allowed? Maybe the comparison is complete between Dina Mamanis and Kiddush HaChodesh, that just like Dina Mamanis, you can start during the day and conclude the judgment at night. Same thing by Kiddush HaChodesh. As long as you get your edus during the day, you can conclude even after Shkia. It is a chok for the Yisrael and mishpat leloei Yaakov. What does that mean? Emes havi chok. When do we declare it a chok? The gemar din. That's when the judgment is complete. V'kakari le'rachmana mishpat. However, the Torah still calls it a mishpat. Ma mishpat bayom afachanami bayom. That just like mishpat is during the day, so too here by Kiddush HaChodesh, the entire process must be completed before Shkia. If it isn't, no matter how much the Metzias is that everybody knows that the month should be Chaser, too bad. If you didn't finish during the day,
We know by Mishpat by Dina Mamos, we said you could finish it.
you could, but this limud is, because of the word Mishpat, you must conclude it during the day. Okay, one final piece.
You can have 1 year, every month will be over. There'll be 372 days in a year.
So
31 days. No,
There-
if you do 31 days times.
if you're never Mekadesh and every month is Muller,
Yeah.
I suppose I think that's academically possible, but practically, certainly now it can't happen. You know, since Hillel in the 3rd or 4th century gave us the calendar that we now use, but before then, according to this, I guess it's theoretically possible, but it would mess up all of this money, and you would lose the point of Ubrior and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Because instead of the year being too short, it would be too long. It would mess up the whole system. Okay, Ra'u Basin. What happens if the basin were the ones who themselves saw the new moon? So 2 of them should get up and testify before their colleagues. Ve'amai. Why should they even have to go through that step? Lote Shmiya Gedolah Me'Re'iyah. Hearing something from somebody else can't possibly be as good as seeing it for yourself. So what are we making the Dayanim go through this whole show of Edus when they have the knowledge firsthand? Amar Rabbi Zera Kagon Shira'u Balayla. Well, we saw it at night. You can't give testimony at night.
Good shot.
Good shot. Ra'u Shlosha. What about the next case? So what happened if 3 members of the basin saw it? 2 of them stand. They seat the 3rd guy with 2 other people from the basin, and they go through the whole thing all over again. Says the Gemara, Amai. So too here. They saw it themselves. What are they even go through this whole testimony thing for? So maybe it's true that they saw it at night, but if that's the case, that's the case we just had. What are you giving me a redundant case in the Gemara for? In the Mishnah, excuse me. Seifait strichale. So the reason is we needed to teach us specifically a din in the Seifa. Because one individual is not allowed to make the call on his own. Because I might have thought we haven't that since we've learned in the Brisa Dine Mamanis Bishlosha that really Dine Mamanis requires a basin of 3. And if there was somebody who was an acknowledged expert in Mamanis, dan afilu biyachid. In that case, 1 dayan is sufficient if he's an acknowledged expert. So maybe so too here. Maybe you have the greatest expert in the world on moons. Maybe that person should be able to be a dan yachidi and declare it on his own. Kamash malan, we don't hold like that. You must have a beis din. Well, maybe it's true that you can hear HERE, in this case, have 1 dayan declare the moon. There is no greater expert in anything than Moshe Rabbeinu. The Ka'amrle, but still Ka'amrle HaKadosh Baruch Hu, but still HaKadosh Baruch Hu said to Moshe, Adi'ika Aaron Ba'adach. You may not declare the Chodesh until your brother Aaron is with you. Dichsiv, Vayomer Hashem Moshe v'Aaron be'eretz Mitzrayim lemor, HaChodesh hazeh lachem. The commandment to be Mekadosh HaChodesh was given to both of them at the same time. Meaning, you cannot have a Yachid declare, no matter how expert he is, and we learn this from none other than Moshe Rabbeinu. A few more lines. Well, how can it be that one of the Eidim in this Beis Din example, how can they become a Dayan? Maybe our Mishnah is not that from which we can imply that an aid can become a Dayan, does not accord with the opinion of Rabbi Akiva. The Tanya, Sanhedrin Shiro Echad Shahar Agas Hanefesh, a Sanhedrin that witnessed one person taking the life of another, top of Chav Vav Amud Aleph, Miksasim Nasu Eidim and Miksasim Nasu Dayanim. So some of them can become Eidim, some of them can serve as Dayanim, and the case proceeds from there. Divrei Rabbi Tarfon. That is according to the opinion of Rabbi Tarfon. Rabbi Akiva Omer Kula Nasin Eidim. Rabbi Akiva says, nope. All of them must be Eidim. The Ein Eid Na'aseh Dayan. And an aid cannot become a Dayan. This is how we pass it. Afilu came a Rabbi Akiva. So the Gemara says, you can even say that in our case of Kiddush HaChodesh, Rabbi Akiva would agree that the Eidim can become the Dayanim. Why? Ad Kalu Kam Rabbi Akiva Hasam Ela B'didin Nefashos. That Rabbi Akiva only said that the aid cannot become a Dayan in a case where a life is on the line. Dinin Nefashos. We're going to kill this guy if he's convicted of murder. The Rahmana Amar V'Shaftu Eidah V'Hatzilu Ha'eidah. Because the Torah said by capital cases that you have to judge, but also trying to find a way to save the guy's life. But since these people literally witnessed this guy killing somebody else, they can't exactly find a way out. They watched what happened. They saw what happened. It's difficult to be done the kavschus in a capital murder case when you saw exactly what happened. But here in the case of Kiddush HaChodesh, Afilu Rabbi Akiva Modeh. Even Rabbi Akiva would agree that an aid can become a Dayan. Ad Kan. Have a wonderful day.
He can be Dayan.